The Viking Age, spanning from the 8th to the 11th century, was a time of exploration, conquest, and trade across vast territories. But beneath the saga of legendary warriors and seafaring adventurers existed a darker reality, one that defined the lives of countless individuals who lived without freedom. These were the thralls, enslaved people who formed the invisible foundation of Viking society. Thralls were not a small underclass. Historians estimate that between 10 to 30% of the Scandinavian population during the Viking Age were enslaved. They were captured in raids across the British Isles, Eastern Europe, and beyond. Others were born into slavery or became thralls as punishment for crimes or unpaid debts. For these individuals, life meant endless labor, brutal treatment, and the complete absence of personal rights. This is the story of one such life, a thrall captured as a child, who would spend every remaining day in servitude until death. You're 11. Your village is quiet. Chickens scratch in the dirt and your mother grinds grain while you chase after your brother. Then the shouts begin. Norse warriors in iron helmets rush through the fields, axes gleaming in their hands. Dragon-proud longships are pulled up on the shore. Fire spreads quickly, smoke choking the air. You see your father run forward with a pitchfork, but he falls before he can reach them. Your mother screams your name as rough hands grab your arms. You fight, you kick, but you're thrown into a line with other children and women. The world you knew ends before the sun reaches its peak. They march you to the longship. The smell of tar and salt water fills your nose. You're pushed inside with others, your wrists bound with iron shackles. The warriors row without speaking, their oars moving in steady rhythm, their faces streaked with ash. You look back at your village one last time. The smoke rises into the sky, but your home is already gone. You're 12 and you arrive in a foreign land. The voyage is long, the sea restless, and you're sick more than once. When the longship finally reaches the coast, the air smells of pine and cold salt. You're led inland to a large farmstead surrounded by wooden fences and tall grass. The main house is built from heavy timber, smoke curling from its roof. This is where you'll stay. The master's wife inspects you, gripping your chin as if you were livestock at market. She points to a wooden bucket and makes it clear without words. You are here to work. That night, you sleep on straw in a dark corner of the barn, sharing space with cows and goats. The air is damp and cold. You listen to the animals shifting nearby, and you understand that your life now belongs to someone else. The work begins at dawn. You're 13, and each morning you're shaken awake long before sunrise. The air is still damp, and the farmstead is quiet except for the low sounds of animals. You carry water from the stream until your arms ache. You grind barley into flour with a heavy stone. You gather dung from the animals to dry for fuel. The smell clings to your hands no matter how often you rinse them in the cold water. The skin on your fingers cracks and bleeds. Your back aches from bending. There's never a day when your body feels rested. The mistress watches closely. When you falter, her hand is quick to strike. The sting lingers long after the mark has faded. You learn quickly that survival means silence. You move quietly. You never speak unless spoken to, and you finish each task before she asks twice. The other thralls keep their heads down, avoiding attention, but a girl close to your age offers small guidance when she can. She whispers how to hold the bucket to spill less, how to lean against the wall for just a moment to ease the pain. These fleeting kindnesses do not change your fate, but they remind you that even in endless labor, small acts of humanity help you endure. You're 14, and you begin to understand fear in a different way. The farmstead is busy with trade. Merchants arrive with carts and sacks, some carrying furs, others with silver coins that flash in the firelight. You're ordered to serve them food and ale, to keep the fire burning, and to stay quiet unless spoken to. You move carefully, keeping your eyes lowered, but you still feel the weight of their stares. When their eyes linger too long, your stomach twists with fear, the same fear you felt when the raiders first dragged you from your village. You begin to hear whispers among the other thralls. Some captives are taken to market, trading centers like Hedeby, where they're sold for silver or goods and never seen again. You realize then that nothing about your life is certain. You're not part of the family, not even part of the household. You are property, and property can be moved, sold, or discarded without warning. At night, you lie awake on your straw bedding, clutching the thin blanket around your shoulders, wondering if tomorrow you'll still be here, or if your life will be carried away like a coin exchanged across a table. You're 16, and the burden grows heavier with every season. Your body is stronger now after years of labor, but that strength is only an excuse for them to demand more. Each morning, you're sent into the hills to drive the goats across rough ground. Your feet are raw from stones that cut through the thin leather of your shoes. When you return, there's always another task waiting. You split wood until your hands blister. You haul stones to patch the walls. You carry water until your shoulders burn. You spread manure across the fields, the stench soaking into your clothes. The winters make everything worse. Snow stings your skin like fire, and your breath freezes in the air. The food is thin, sometimes nothing more than barley broth, and hunger twists in your stomach even when you lie down to sleep. The mistress is never satisfied. She watches for mistakes, ready to punish with a stick or with silence at mealtime. A missed chore might mean no bread for days. A slow hand might earn a bruise across your face. You no longer cry when it happens. Tears are wasted here, answered only with more scorn. You survive by lowering your head, softening your voice, and keeping your hands busy. Survival is not about strength alone. It's about knowing when to endure and when to stay silent. You're 18, and punishment finds you. One day, while rushing through the hall, your hands slip and a clay jug of milk crashes onto the floor. The sound echoes like thunder, and before you can kneel to clean it, the mistress is already there. Her face twists with rage as she strikes you across the cheek so hard that you collapse. Your head rings. You taste blood on your lip. There's no time to speak, no chance to beg. She calls for the others, and with a single command, you're dragged outside. Your wrists are bound and you're tied to a wooden post in the yard. As the sun disappears and the night grows colder, the chill seeps through your thin clothes. Your skin tightens, your teeth chatter uncontrollably, and your fingers stiffen until they feel like wood. You try to stay awake, to fight the cold, but your body betrays you, shivering so violently that your bones ache. By dawn, you can barely lift your head. They untie you, half-conscious, and drag you back inside. The warmth of the fire is distant, unreachable. The other thralls glance at you, but quickly turn away, terrified of sharing your fate. You understand now, more deeply than before, that kindness does not exist here. You remain alive only because your labor still has value. You're 20 and hope flickers, then dies. Around the hearth, some thralls whisper that freedom can come. They say a master may one day grow soft and release a servant, or that someone from another household could buy you and treat you better. For a while, you cling to these stories, replaying them in your head as you grind grain or carry buckets of water, imagining a day when you might walk away with no one to call you back. But the seasons pass and nothing changes. The mistress grows sharper with age, her voice like iron when she scolds. The master sinks deeper into his drinking. Work fills every moment, and the dream you once nursed becomes too heavy to carry. Slowly, you fold it away, burying it with the other things you've lost. The girl who once helped you with the buckets is gone, sold quietly one morning to another household. No one tells you where. You don't know if she still lives or if she's been taken farther still, to another land, to another fate. Loneliness settles into her absence, colder than any winter wind, and it does not leave. You're 24, and your body begins to fail. Years of labor have carved deep lines into your face. Your hands are as rough as stone from endless chores. The cough begins quietly, a dry ache in your chest that you try to ignore. But with each passing season, it grows sharper, deeper, until every breath feels heavier than the last. The mistress notices, but not with concern. She simply gives you fewer tasks, not out of mercy, but because she no longer sees the same value in you. A thrall who cannot work is worth less than one who can. Your days shrink to smaller duties, mending torn clothes, sorting wool, sweeping ash from the hearth. In the evenings, you sit close to the fire with a blanket around your shoulders, your hands trembling as you patch garments that will outlast you. Around you, the younger thralls chatter softly, laughing at small jokes, their voices carrying a lightness you once had. You watch them, remembering when you still had that same energy before years of labor and fear wore it away. You wonder how long it will take before they too discover what you already know. That time always breaks you in the end. You're 28, and the end comes quietly. The cough that has haunted you for years grows heavier, deeper. Now each fit leaves blood on the rag you hold to your lips. Your body is weak, worn thin by winters of labor and hunger. Still you try to work, forcing yourself to carry buckets or tend the fire. But your legs give way beneath you. The mistress grows impatient, calling you useless. The other thralls avoid your eyes, afraid that pity might be seen as rebellion. One winter morning, you cannot rise at all. The frost has crept through the cracks of the longhouse, and you lie shivering on the straw bed that has always been yours. Around you, the day carries on as if nothing is ending. The clang of pots, the bark of dogs, the orders of the mistress drift through the walls. No one comes to lift you. No one speaks your name. By midday, your breathing slows, each breath more shallow than the last, until it stops. Another thrall is sent to take your place before the hearth, and the mistress does not mention you again. The farmstead continues. The seasons shift, and your story fades into silence, forgotten beyond those wooden walls. This was the reality for tens of thousands of thralls during the Viking Age. They built the farms, worked the fields, and fueled the economy that allowed Viking society to flourish. Yet their names were rarely recorded, their voices seldom heard, and their suffering largely invisible to history. Slavery was a central pillar of Viking culture, not an unfortunate footnote, but an essential element of their world. It would not be until the gradual spread of Christianity and the end of the Viking Age that thraldom slowly began to fade, finally abolished centuries later during the medieval period. But for those who lived and died in bondage, freedom never came.